Hey folks, I wanted to talk about some more of my old paper computer games. Last time I started talking about these Squids in Forests games, started with Squids in Forests, the second game was Further Sylvan Squidisms, but I didn't have time to get to the third game in that series, Fried Calamari, which continues directly from the first two. But unlike the first two, this one is, a lot bigger. It is a lot more deadly. The first two games were kind of like they were just experimental games and you could explore in any direction you wanted and there was no real challenges. It was just, basically a world to explore and you could walk to the end and beat the game anytime you wanted with no difficulty. They were just kind of experimental PCGs in that way. Fried Calamari, is kind of moving a little bit back towards the traditional PCG thing where there's a lot of danger, there's a lot of puzzles, but there's still an aspect of the exploration from the previous two games. So yeah, that is where that game came from. So let's dive right in, shall we? Okay. So this game starts with a backstory thing. Among our people, there echoes a legend. In ancient times, there lived the Titans. They were gigantic, wise, and powerful. The tallest houses rose only to their feet. They lived in the enormous city of the gods. They created us in their image and protected us. One day, they left, leaving the city of the gods in the care of nature. Its splendor gone, the city lost its powers and began to decay and become overgrown. Only one of Titan kind remained in the city, eternally sleeping. He watched over us as he always had. For eons, we were a happy, peaceful people, making our homes among what's left of the city of the gods. That is until one day, when a new dark Titan appeared and invaded our holy lands. In desperation, we appealed to our only protector, and he answered our call. After a millennia of sleep, he awoke. So that is the sort of intro of the game. And then we pick back up with Ari and Cassie. This is the first screen. And we've just come from where the other games were. We're still in the forest on the planet Shri, still kind of exploring. And in the previous game, we'll get to that. Anyway, in this first screen we have an archway and we have, over here there's another kind of arched doorway going into this, here wall. There's a statue over it. And you can't get through because there's a force field covering the door. But luckily there are two other paths you can go down. And here in the tree is something very dangerous. This is, I'll talk about that later more in depth, but the basic idea was that when Ari goes into the tree to find out what that is, he gets killed. And, after experimenting with that a bit, it kind of leaps away into the brush before he can see what it was that was killing him. It's not really ready to, engage fully yet. So, you can go either way. You can go left or right. If you go left from here, you come to here. This is a, kind of a crossroads. We're kind of looking at this. We came from, behind the screen, and now we can go either left or right again. Over here, there's a little statuette. It's kind of golden. And when you first get it, it's useless, but later on you can power them up and they become little workers that you can use. There's just some random creatures hiding in the tree. When Ari was playing this, he messed around with them, tried to, poke at them or whatever. Didn't really lead to anything. Let's see. From there, if you go to the right, you come to this bridge, but it's broken and you can't go any further. If you kind of like walk down this path, under the bridge, there's kind of this little area under the bridge, which is kind of one of the most pointless areas in the game. There isn't much here, but there's an old poster of that pertains to stuff that's going to be later in the game. This sort of ring thing is kind of like the Citadel that you get to explore later, kind of a map of it. But anyway, because there isn't really much we can do there, let's go back to here. If you go left, that takes you here. This is kind of like, this is an aerial view. And there's a lot to explore over here. There's a little shed over here. There's a building which has alien language on it. There's like an old treasure chest. The shed was its own screen. And yeah, over here there was an old grimy like poster on the wall, and for that screen, that like I actually drew it out, and what I did was, it's a map, and I drew the map in pen, and then I covered it in pencil, and whenever I had him in game, he had to like find things to wipe it off with progressively as he went throughout the game. And whenever he did that, I would erase a part of this, so more of the map would be revealed. And so now that he's beaten the game, the entire thing is revealed. So I'll show you where we've been so far. This is the stuff from the previous 2 games, the crashed ship with all the miniature people in it that he was in. You can see that in the previous video. Here's the archway from the very first screen and the wall that, the second doorway was in. So we went left from there. And if you, here's the crossroads. If you go right, you come to that bridge, which is broken. In this map, it doesn't look broken because it's, because this map was made a long time ago before the bridge broke. If you go left, here's a tower, and it looks like there's a lot more stuff that we haven't explored yet. There's like a Zagori city. That's interesting. Oh, I think that's actually from one of the previous games, where the miniature people are. Like, this is the building that in the first and the second game that Ari's on top of, with all the little miniature people made their city there. That's what that is, and on this map that's labeled Zagori City. So that's the first indication we get that the miniature people who are in those first 2 games, and they're going to be in this game also, they're called the Zagori. So anyway, we found that, and there's some other stuff in here. There's an old journal on the desk. There's some compounds. Let me see what. Here we have an inventory. They're just jars full of old stuff that was on that shelf. So anyway, if we go back out over here, this is, it's kind of a clearing. And in fact, the screen is even called clearing. And there's a giant boulder. When you go inside the building, that takes you here. I was having fun experimenting with perspective, so like spirally staircases like this were fun to do. It's not exactly perfectly done, doesn't look quite right, but getting close. There was I think you had to take this orb and put it in this or something like that. I forget what it was. I'll have to look it up. I have a script for this, but in any event, if you just try opening the door up here conventionally, the stairs will all go flat and you'll slide down. So you have to do that, correctly. Here is like a fountain that has water, and if you use that with this rag over here, you can wipe off, like a piece of the map. Up here, this is a poster of Ginkis. We saw him in the in a previous PCG, The Last of the Zerelta. He was the king of the Zerelta people. That's on the same planet of Shri. That was 1,000 years ago. And he climbed, at the end of that game, he climbs to the top of his tower and seals off his tower in a force field by holding his staff above his head. So that's what this, wall tapestry is depicting. So, yeah. So you had to take, like, this rod was a thing. You had to take this rod that's holding up the poster. You had to take that, and that becomes a crucial thing. It's hard to get up this ladder, but once you do, let's see, where was that roof? Sorry, should have organized before I made the video, but yeah, here we go. So, yeah, this is kind of like the roof. Ari comes up from this hatch, and, you can see down to the bottom of the building over here. There's all these 4 things, and you have to, I think you had to twist all of them in the right way and twist, and put the rod in here. No, not just the rod. It had to specifically be the tapping rod, which you find somewhere else. So when you come back up here, something happens. But before that happens, you can kind of explore up here anytime you like. So before that happens, you go back down, you go back to the clearing, and once you get there, that creature that was stalking you from the beginning, like that was hiding in the tree, it makes its appearance known. And hold on, where is it? Sorry, 1 second. Here we go. Wait, no, that's not it. Sorry, I'll just be a second. What did I do with that? Dang. Well, sorry about that, folks. It seems I can't find that for now, but maybe I should even just stop the video for now and come back to it a bit later once I've found that, because it's a pretty essential part of the story. So, yeah, I will, well, thanks for watching, folks.